Hey there, and thanks for checking out part 4 of my video on my Relic Partscaster. As you can see, my body is totally covered in my vinyl sealer now, and I'm prepping for paint. It's sanded smooth all over. I'm going to be applying coats now, first just kind of a tack coat. I'm using this Daphne Blue that I got from Ohio Valley Nitro. So that's my primary color. When I get to later on, I'm going to put probably a coat of aged clear on here and finish it up with clear glass that I've got from Stumac. Once again, I'll be using my Preval spray gun attachment here to give it a little bit of a feel more like a spray gun than a can. And I've got my safety equipment ready to go. All right, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm all set up here. I'm going to go ahead and put my mask and goggles on and let's get this thing going. All right, I'm going to leave it at that for right now. Obviously, this was just a tack coat as well. I did get a little bit of spray spit here coming out of the can. Not sure why, but again, this is just a tack coat. I'm going to be putting several coats on over this, so I'm hoping that'll all get covered up anyhow, and it won't be noticed. So I'm going to leave this for about 45 minutes or so. Then I'm going to come back and put a little bit more full covering coat over the top of this. All right, be back in a bit. Okay, so I've got a couple of coats put on the body so far. You can kind of get a sense, get a look at this Daphne Blue color that I've chosen. I'm going to go ahead and level sand this with 600 before I put a couple more coats on it. And then once I have done that, I'm also going to start, and while that's drying, I'm also going to start work on the neck. I haven't done anything with the neck yet. I've talked about it when we first started here. But getting to the point where it's just about time to go ahead and get this ready as well. What I'm going to be doing is painting this with aged clear, and I'm also going to be working on trying to give it a relic look on the back here. That's the whole point of the project, is to see if I can't do a relic Stratocaster. What I've got here is to kind of show. I used the Stumac Age Gloss. This is my test neck. It's an old something. I think it was a Squire something or other. Pulled it off, and I do all kinds of just finish testing and sanding testing and whatever on it. But this top portion here shows the color of the aged lacquer versus what it looked like you know, bare. So I think that gives, you know, a nice color what I'm going to have the rest of this neck look like. And then on the back side, I'm going to work out something that essentially looks like this, which is a mix of some stains using some Stumac amber and brown to create a stain color that I'll do here on the middle of the back side, and then probably put some True Oil or something like that. Whatever the Stumac product is, I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm going to try that in the back as well and see how it works out. So after this is level sanded and I start putting a couple more coats back on, I'll go ahead and start the prep work, some of the taping and whatnot on this neck. Now this neck is from Musicraft, licensed fender neck from Musicraft. And I did get it with, you could get it bare, but I got it with a sanding sealer applied, so there wouldn't be any sort of issues with humidity or whatnot in shipping or while I was waiting. So it does have the sanding sealer on there, which means as I think about, you know, obviously it's ready to apply for the aged clear lacquer. That won't be an issue. I'll just want to tape off the fretboard. I do have to consider what that means for trying to, you know, get kind of the relic look on the back of the neck, and do I need to sand down that sanding sealer so I can get to apply the stain over the top of this? Because I don't think obviously that stain will go through onto the wood with the sanding sealer there in the way. So that's what I'm going to be doing. We'll prep the neck up anyway. We'll start doing that so that we can get this thing actually put together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start level sanding. Got my two main tools that I use for level sanding, a little foam block with a flat edge here, and this section of the pipe insulator that I talked about before. And I've got my 600 sandpaper on a roll from 3M with the sticky back, and I just stick it right onto either of these two blocks here and level sand away. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Okay, so I sanded that ever so lightly with 600, recognizing there's might be a couple spots where I got a little thin there, but that's okay because I'm putting additional coats on it anyway. And as I talked about when I was spraying, you know, one of the hazards of the rattle can is every now and then I got a little bit of a splatter. So there was, it wasn't perfectly smooth coating as you would get with like an HVLP sprayer. So I had to sand some of those down flat anyway. So I got it as smooth as I can, you know, lightly hitting all the areas. I'm going to go back and put some more coats on it. Before obviously I've got to do that, I've got to clean and make sure I get all the dust off of it. But right now that's about good for getting out any of those splatter marks that I saw and giving it a little bit of level. And hopefully then the next couple of coats take just that much better, and it'll help me as I get towards, before applying the clear, that it'll make it that much easier for the end result to be a nice and smooth finish. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set that aside, and I'm going to go ahead and get started of at least prepping the neck to be able to start spraying some of the aged clear lacquer coats and to start you know, just working on the overall neck piece. All right, be back in a bit.